Basically, our entire upstairs was a long, dark, narrow hallway. And when we moved in, one of the first things we wanted to do was transform it. Well, it got put on the back burner for many years, but last year we were finally able to remove 2 walls and transform our upstairs from a dark, dated, drab space into a bright, open, airy loft, complete with a reading nook that was perfect place for our kids to play and us to hang out as a family. In today's video, we're going to show you the final reveal of our loft, so let's get started. Hi everyone, I'm Ashley from the blog homelikeyoumeanit.com. I'm a paint color consultant and decorator, and today I'm joined by my husband, Daniel, who's a general contractor and really the mastermind behind what you see here. So let's get started.
Hey, I'm Daniel, and like Ashley said, this space up here was basically unusable. The long, narrow hallway with bedrooms off of it that we just weren't using, and we wanted a communal space, and like she said, we got that out of this space. We had to take out 2 walls. The entire project from start to finish took us around 12 or 13 days and some nights. We did pull a permit, which you should always do if you're going to remove some walls, just to be safe and make sure you're doing it the right way and your house doesn't fall on you while you're sleeping. And one thing we discovered when we took out one of the walls was that there was some electrical, but mostly the surprise was a plumbing pipe. And we solved that, as you'll see, rerouted it and sent that back up through the attic. But you never know what you're going to find when you tear out a wall. So just get ready if you're going to do it. It's a lot of fun, but there will be setbacks, but just keep going.
All right.
How's my enthusiasm? Is that at least?
Yeah, it's better.
So the first thing we did after removing those 2 walls was to build our banister at the top. And we had to do that for safety mostly, and that's why I didn't want to do that initially, but we have 2 little kids and didn't want them to fall down the steps. So we decided we better build a railing for these kids not to die. So as you can see in these photos, building a railing is a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun too, especially if you like picky work. So there's a lot of drilling holes, a lot of measuring. Everything we picked was solid oak, and we went with an 8-inch wide newel post just to kind of have that overstated feeling to the space. Both walls did not need to come out to create this space, but the secondary wall along the stairs we took out primarily for sight lines. This space feels so much bigger because we can see from the back corner all the way across to the other wall on the other side of the stairs, and it adds a lot of light, but it adds a lot of sight line. It makes this space feel a lot bigger than it actually is. Now, like we said, it is very important that if you're going to remove walls, you get that kind of a project permitted for your own safety and for moving forward. If you ever want to sell a home, you need to permit projects that require permits, and removing walls is a biggie. We knew we could remove these walls because our roof is a truss roof where all the load is transferred to the outer walls. But we did hire an engineer to come out and verify that, and he stamped the drawings, and we submitted those to the permit office at our local county code office. So it's very important that you do that, very important that you check. Even if you think a wall isn't load bearing, always check. And then you'd be like, was that fun, Daniel? Good, yeah, I loved it.
Probably one of my least favorite parts of this whole project. I have a lot of least favorite parts. Really, until the project is done, I'm kind of in a depressive state.
Yeah.
But one of my least favorite parts was when we ripped up the carpet ourselves to save a little bit of money, and we were walking on. What were we walking on?
Subfloor.
Subfloor. It's like particle board, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it had like old carpet paint or carpet glue, and it stunk. Anyway, I was overjoyed that we got to redo the carpet, but I'll let Daniel talk a little bit about that process and what we did to ensure that the floorboard stopped creaking everywhere, because there were so many spots that we would just move over and it would go, beep. And so we were thrilled to be able to remedy that problem.
Yeah, we would walk into our kids' rooms to check on them at night, and just walking in, the floor would creak so loudly it would wake them up. So it was really bad in multiple places throughout the house. So yeah, like Ashley said, we ripped up all the carpet pad, and the tack strip. So every single joist that was throughout the entire upstairs, I went through and put 3-inch screws through the subfloor into every joist at approximately 12 to 16 inches apart to make sure that every joint Every piece of plywood that had moved ever was resecured to the structure of the house, and we eliminated, I think, every single creak so far. We haven't found any yet.
So one of the easiest ways to add character to a space is to do some sort of wall treatment like what you see behind me. So that's called board and batten. Some people call it wainscoting, several different names, but it really adds a ton of character. And when you're dealing with a dated 90s house that has no character whatsoever and just teeny tiny little baseboards, it really elevates the look of your house really quickly. In doing the space, we really wanted to do that. And truthfully, one of the reasons I wanted to do, what is this, like 3/4 of
Yeah, a little over half,
so I wanted to do it that high because I really wanted to go bold with the color in the room, and I didn't want to commit all the way to a color floor to ceiling this dark, because we do live in a very wooded neighborhood and we have a lot of shade around our house. Now it is pretty open and bright with these 2 windows right here, but I didn't want a color that was super, super dark. So this was kind of like the best of both worlds.
And then you'll do a slice.
No.
That's right. It completely changed the space up here, added a lot of just character and warmth to the space that we really love today. And this is probably my favorite room in the house because I got to do all this fun trim work. Like Ashley said, it's a little over halfway high. I think it's at 57 or 58 inches high from the ground, and our ceilings are 8 foot tall. And we use the typical craftsman square edge, square cut trim style that we have throughout the house around all of our windows and doors. Brought that same look up here. It was really fun to do, but it did take a very long time. As you can see, it's a big process in the photos and the video of us doing it. We do have a DIY video on how to do it if you're interested. One of the main factors that I think elevates what we decided to do was to, instead of just having all of the square panels be drywall surface with trim laid on top of them, we got true real wood plywood and cut it to the exact width of each of our sections, and made so that when you look at it, you see wood end grain everywhere rather than just that. You can tell that it's drywall if it's drywall. It has that little dimpled surface that's been rolled on with a roller. But in this case, having that wood grain in each panel makes it look like it's actually all trim, because it is. So that was a big factor in what made this look as good as it did.
Yes, and that took a long time. I want to say 4 or 5 days at least.
Yeah, I think it was 5 or 6 potentially. Just mapping it all out and ripping all the plywood,
all the math
to make all that math work took a long time. But I think all in, the plywood itself only cost us around $200, but it was very time consuming to create that look that we wanted on the labor side, for sure.
So that's why, I don't know if you have ever had someone come out and quote a wall treatment for your house, and it's crazy expensive. The amount of labor is a lot, and that's why people tend to be shocked at the price, because they don't really understand the amount of work that goes into it. So if you're looking to save money, DIY is the way to go. And like Danielle said, we do have a video showing you step by step how to do that.
Yeah, check that out.
So our house is not large, so we do have to work to add storage wherever we can, especially with 2 small children, with all of the stuff and all of the plastic that comes with them. Our downstairs used to house all of our playroom stuff and our toys, and then with this renovation, we moved that upstairs, so we needed to find storage solutions in this room. And I wanted them to look kind of custom and built in. So we lucked out. We had this space, which I thought was just completely unusable. It was like a built-in desk before. This was like a guest room, and they had put this like kind of built-in desk with some cabinets, but we decided to transform it into a reading nook with storage. So as you can see, we had this little reading nook, which we carried the board and batten treatment throughout. And then we did drawers on the bottom where they can have their toys. And then the top, we did cabinets, and that is perfect for games and construction paper and stuff like that. So It's actually more storage than we need. It is a ton of storage. Those drawers are really deep. They hold a ton of toys. I got creative kind of with some of the buckets. So when they open the drawers, they can just see their toys rather than when you put them behind baskets, they have a really hard time seeing their toys. So when they open those drawers, they can see what they're playing with. And it's worked wonderfully for us in terms of storage. One of the most difficult parts of the project for me was figuring out how to do the bench for the reading nook. I am not a sewer at all. I found foam that you could custom order online. So once that came in, then I tracked down a lady who was able to sew the bench cushion for me. It was like out in the middle of nowhere. I had to drive to her house, but she did a gorgeous job. I picked fabric that I thought would hide the kids' stains pretty well. My 3-year-old has already marked on it significantly, and it's not ruined, but it has not come out yet. But it's such a dark fabric that you don't really notice it. So, and then to really kind of dress up the space, we added these gorgeous unlacquered brass pulls and knobs, which I love the brass. It's so pretty. And then we kind of went with more of a nautical light. It's not in the space. I didn't really mean to. We just needed something that wasn't going to stick out too much. You know, I didn't want them to hit their head on it, and I didn't want it to come out too far because the space is a little tight, so I didn't want it to kind of come into the space. But it's really cute, and it's one of my favorite parts in the whole room. Now, I am not a fan of carpet at all. I really prefer a solid wood floor. However, I am realistic, and I know that we have kids, and it's just more comfortable to sit on the ground when you have carpet. So I searched for a carpet that looked like a jute rug, and I didn't even know this existed, so I was overjoyed when I found this. It was more than I wanted to spend, of course. I find out that
was shocking.
Every time I really, really like something, it's always without, outside of our budget. However, we did a lot of the work ourselves by, ripping up the carpet and prepping the space. So that did save us a lot of money and kind of helped us to work within our budget. But I love this carpet. I will say it hides stains really well. You never see the vacuum lines, which drives me nuts in the carpet. So if you are looking for a carpet that is durable and is not going to look like carpet, it's going to look like a really pretty jute rug, I will link this below. I love this carpet. It completely transformed the space, and it's very light, and it really it makes the space look really light and airy and fresh. So I love the carpet. Okay, now let's talk about paint colors. If you watched any of my other videos, you know that I love to talk about paint colors more than anyone else, it seems like, in my family. But I really wanted to go bold with the color here. So we went with Benjamin Moore Newburgh Green on the walls. And then for the trim, for the board and batten, we went with our all-time favorite, Benjamin Moore White Dove, which we have throughout our house. It's on our kitchen cabinetry. It's on all of our trim, all of our doors. So we wanted to keep the consistency there. That is that perfect soft white with just a hint of a grayish undertone, not too yellow at all. It reads true white on the walls, but then when you put it next to a true white, it reads much softer. So it definitely is an off-white. And then we have this sliding barn door. Now, I know barn doors are out. However, if you've read my post on our bathroom renovation, we haven't done a video yet, but we do have a blog post. But if you've read my post, we had to find a creative solution because that is a small bathroom, and the sliding barn door was the perfect solution. Now, of course, I would like a pocket door, but that takes a lot of time, and we just didn't have the time. We were doing that project when I was about 8 months pregnant, so we kind of had to move on. Anyway, that door we painted Benjamin Moore Quiet Moments, which is like a light blue-green with just a small gray undertone. And so it works beautifully with the Newburgh Green in here. And that was really a big factor onto why I chose that Newburgh Green to work really pretty with the Quiet Moments, because you can see it in the room and it is a large presence. So I wanted it to all be cohesive. So right now we primarily use this space. Our girls primarily use this space for their playroom, but they are quickly aging out of that. So in designing the space, I really kind of wanted to make it timeless so that I wasn't redoing it in a few years. I mean, I'm sure I'll be thinking about redoing the paint because I love paint colors. But anyway, the color scheme that we went with for this room was blue and green. And then I wanted to kind of repeat the color of the carpet, which was a pretty beigey tan, and we did that through the curtains and some pillows. As you can see, I carried out the decor with a lot of pillows, throw pillows. You can never have too many throw pillows.
You can, but okay.
And then the reading nook repeats all the colors. So, and then lastly, I found a lot of really pretty art and made this gallery wall behind us, which I found a lot of pieces that kind of reminded me of my girls. And then we added these 2 sconces. The room did not have any overhead light when we moved in. It was just wired for a lamp. Is that correct?
Yeah, just a switched outlet for a lamp. So
right. So we
very dark.
Yeah, we added the sconces, which I love sconces. Anytime you have the opportunity to add a sconce as opposed to an overhead light, do it. It elevates the look of your room so much. And like I said, I feel like my girls will grow out of a cutesy type of room pretty soon. So I wanted to kind of design the space with the fact that they were going to grow into a more mature space and kind of use this as a hangout. So that's why I know sconces are not typically something you would see in a child's playroom, but I wanted to kind of design this space for the long term. You know, don't ramble, just say.
Sure.
Because a lot of people aren't watching by this point.
Well, that's it. That is our bedroom to loft conversion project. We hope you loved it. Like we said, there's a DIY video on how to do this board and batten trim. Check that out. And
yes, and as always, thank you for watching. If you like this type of content, make sure to hit subscribe. Thanks.